Welcome back to I Care for Your Brain with board-certified neuropsychologist Dr. Karen Sullivan. That is me. We meet here once a week for science-based brain health information. This week's topic is an audience pick. It is a question about my personal wellness routine, and it is something that I think is interesting to folks. What do doctors do in their everyday life? Well, my goal is to give you an accurate understanding of what I consider to be wellness and what it is that I do in my everyday commitments to try to reach those goals. So let's just start off by talking about what is wellness. It is a state of being that is beyond just the absence of illness, right? It is striving to optimize well-being. And I actually like the word striving because inherent in that word is this idea that it is effortful and that it is the ultimate goal is to thrive, but that isn't really realistic for most of us. The human journey is difficult, and I like the word striving because it suggests that we're not always going to be successful. Wellness is achieved through intention. That is the very best that we can do often, is we have the intention to do well, but the difficulties of everyday life often prevent us from actually seeing those things through. Becoming aware, waking up to your life, waking up to your values and your preferences, and making choices every day that are healthy and fulfilling based on your own personal definition of wellness and your ability to be devoted to your self-care and your self-love is what really fuels our wellness. Now that really changes across time, and it's always a work in progress. So just like you, my wellness needs have significantly changed. For many years, I was in graduate school, finishing up my doctoral studies, having 2 children back to back. And my wellness at that time really just meant the ability to live up to my responsibilities. There wasn't really a time or a place where I could even identify my own personal wellness needs. If I could get the occasional manicure, I thought I was doing a pretty good job. But over time, I have been able to develop my personal wellness because I have more resources, I have more time, I have more money. So I am actually able to be dedicated to wellness in a new way that I really wasn't able to before. So in the last year in particular, I have really started to think about my wellness in a different way. And for me, I've been very highly motivated by a couple different factors that I wonder you can relate to. The first one was kind of a health scare. It was figuring out that I had a genetic lipid disorder. I have a genetic lipid disorder that I need to be very proactive about. I started to do research into gut health and brain health, which informed the 2.5-hour webinar that I did recently. That really impacted me. And just also where I am in my personal journey. I am turning 50 this summer, and it feels like it is high time for me that I moved from making just this a priority into actually making sure that I am respecting and honoring my physical body as well. So everybody has their own unique things that bring them to a wellness commitment, and those are the things that are right now on my mind. Also, my work as a neuropsychologist is of course very highly motivating. Seeing the impact of modifiable risk factors every day on the development of cognitive impairment, including dementia, is very motivating. You really want to do better once you see what happens after decades of cumulative risk factors building up. So today, without further ado, I would like to share with you my personal current wellness routine, what I do consistently, and where I still need to grow. So we are going to walk through a typical day for me. And I do want to have this caveat that this is just what works for me. Like all approaches to health, it is based on my personal values, my lifestyle, my preferences, my known genetic risk factors, my known personal risk factors, and all the available knowledge that I have at my disposal right now. I don't know what I don't know, and I always come into health with that perspective. That's the beautiful thing about knowledge and education, is once you know better, you can do better. So there's plenty of things I don't know, despite being a very highly educated psychologist, I'm sure that I have a lot to learn about wellness from all of you out there. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to invite you to tell me about your personal practices that I can use to enhance my own wellness commitment. So I'm also going to have one last caveat that this is a totally honest account. I am not going to sugarcoat anything. You all really privilege me every day with sharing your personal brain health challenges, and I feel that I owe you that same respect in turn. I also think a lot of people on social media are probably acting like they have wellness totally mastered and conquered, and when we listen in on their routines and rituals, we think, my God, what's wrong with me? They've got it all together, when the truth is that we're all human and we're all struggling. So you probably will find things in my wellness routine that you think, wow, I can't believe she's not doing better, but this is me. So the very first thing I think about is, how do I wake up in the morning? So after using a sleep tracker for a few months, a few years back, I understood why I have had a lifelong dislike of waking up in the morning. From about 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., the sleep tracker told me, is when I was getting my deepest sleep, in the precious maximum brain and human healing time of REM sleep. This is where we consolidate all of our memories that we make throughout the day, and the brain decides what's to keep, what to put in long-term storage, and what to get rid of. It is the time when we process emotions, especially those that have any type of a stress component. It is when our brain's immune system is the most efficient and the most focused on cleaning out the debris that builds up just from a day of wear and tear of brain function, or after any type of a brain injury. It's basically when the brain can really restore order, and REM sleep is really something to be respected. It starts after about 90 minutes of sleep, and every sleep cycle, which is about 90 to 120 minutes, we basically go through multiple levels of sleep. With each phase throughout the night, we actually get more and more REM sleep. So for most people, the second half of the night is going to be when they get the most REM. But for some people, and I am one of these people, it's actually shifted even more towards the early morning hours. So I know that when I wake up during a REM cycle, which you can have a clue by if you get woken up during a dream, you are actually getting yourself geared up for a not so great day, because it means your melatonin is at a very high level. This causes you to feel sleepy. There is increased irritability, and it can be really hard to shake that feeling for hours and hours. So because of all this and this knowledge that I got from my sleep tracker, I decided to completely change my sleep schedule. I am much more naturally a night owl, and I am my own boss. So those two things made it actually pretty easy to change the way I sleep. So I try not to set an alarm in the morning, and my natural wake up time is about 9 to 9:30 a.m. Now I realize for some people that might seem like, wow, you're sleeping in a lot every day. That's just part of what I have decided works best for me and my wellness. The next part of my day is definitely a highlight. This is coffee time. This is definitely a part of my wellness. I try to drink organic dark roast coffee. Organic because there's a lot of pesticides in commercial coffee, and dark roast because it's delicious and it has the highest antioxidant amount of any coffee. In the short term, coffee is a natural stimulant. It improves mood, concentration, our ability to learn and to process information. There's also some data to suggest that it can be protective against future neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's, which I do have in my family history. I only drink grass-fed dairy in my coffee, and this is due to the gut health research I did showing how much antibiotics are in our meat and in our dairy in factory farmed animals. So the idea is, of course, antibiotics are lifesavers when you need them, but when they are in our diet in a regular way, just through our general foods, it can actually impact gut health significantly by killing off a lot of the delicate, helpful gut bacteria, and by really helping the negative, not so good, bad gut bacteria to proliferate. So it's very easy to get off balance when you have any type of an antibiotic in your system. So as I drink my coffee, because I love it so much, I often use that as a cue or a reminder to start focusing on my breath as soon as I can and to think positively about the day ahead of me. So some might call this a gratitude practice. Even though I have been a licensed psychologist for 11 years and a board certified neuropsychologist for 8 years, I genuinely think with a grateful heart every single day that I get to do this for a living and that I get to serve human beings in this way. As soon as I learned about the profession of neuropsychology, I knew that was exactly what I wanted to do. And it has been a very long journey, and a journey that has been allowed because of the acceptance and blessings brought to me by multiple people along the way. So I genuinely think and thank those people almost every day. If it's nice out, I always try to get the window open so I can just start to think about having fresh air. And for me, a big part of my wellness routine is to really embrace this idea of waking up. I think I have been kind of an over-intellectualizer in some of my inner life, and it's very easy for me to be in my head and to overwork and to just go. And so part of where I'm at right now is really trying to just be here in this moment. This is also the time where my cat might come into my room, and he is, like for so many of us, a huge part of my wellness. He reminds me to slow down and breathe. Pets have a big influence on our physiological and our psychological health, including activating our brain, getting us to narrow our attention and focus. Our stress hormones reduce, our feel-good transmitters, neurotransmitters increase. It is all about engagement and connection with pets, which is such an important part of our human awareness. Pets also increase our oxytocin levels, which is a hormone that typically gets released when we have physical intimacy with another adult. One of the most insightful areas of brain health in the last couple of years has been the focus on loneliness, the negative effects of loneliness. So interpersonal engagement and physical touch doesn't matter. Human to human, human to animal, these are critical experiences for us and our brain health. The next thing is something that I need to do much better in, but remember, I promised you total transparency here. The next thing I usually do, while yes, I'm still in bed in the morning, is grab my phone and start checking my emails. This is bad. I know this is bad. I wish I could stop. I really think it's a bit of an addiction. It is wasting my first hour of wakefulness, which is often when we're at our peak levels of productivity. It is basically setting the agenda for my day with someone else's to-do list. It's fooling me into thinking I'm kind of on top of my game when really it's just getting my adrenaline going and probably scattering my attention. And it's really dumping a huge amount of cortisol right into my bloodstream and into my brain. But I can't help it. I still remain a little bit compulsive about work. And I think maybe because I have my own business, I feel like I need to be aware of a lot of things as quickly as possible. So once I get done checking my work email, I probably go on to social media and the news. It would be much better, and I'd be much prouder to sit here today and tell you I got out of bed and I stretch and I gently wake up my body, and it's a goal and I'm working on it. The next thing I do is, of course, get in the shower, and I've recently been making the transition to low tox or no tox household and beauty products. So I am a glutton for products. Again, I wish this was something that wasn't quite the case, but I just do love indulgent potions and lotions and all those things. So I have all of those things going on for myself in the shower. And then the next part of my routine is actually a huge part of my wellness, which is my time to be alone listening to music. This is one of my favorite parts of the day as I get ready for the day. I love music. It gives me energy. It moves me emotionally. It brings back memories. It really, really makes me feel very happy. And I become pretty obsessive with music. And so I tend to listen to the same album over and over again for weeks at a time. Right now, my musical joy is Elvis Costello and his first record, My Aim Is True, which came out 4 years after I was born, but is still perfection. Then I am ready for the day. If it's a work day, I'm doing something meaningful to me related to human service. So I'm either seeing patients in my telehealth practice, researching a lecture, designing a PowerPoint. This is a very important part of wellness. So this is basically where your core values are being lived. And what we call this feeling, why it feels so good, is basically being in the zone or being in a flow state. This is something positive psychologists have been researching. Basically is a feeling of being entirely immersed in something and really embodying your values. You are crystal clear on your intent. You see progress, you are engaged, you are giving effort, but it's not hard, right? It's a labor of love. There is total alignment with the doing and the being. And so for me, that is my work. That is my service. So a big part of my wellness is an ongoing commitment and interest to self-actualization. So how can I make the most of this one short life that I have? And with my primary value being serving other people, serving people in the brain health community, I spend a lot of my time thinking about how I can do a better job. So around 11 or 12, I'm now starting to think about eating. So for a lot of us, wellness involves eating. And this has been some of the biggest changes I've made in the last year. So I have been a vegetarian since I was about 11 years old. And so I've always kind of fancied myself a healthy eater, but the truth is I really did not know very much until I have been meeting with a nutritionist. Now, of course, I understand brain healthy food and all that important stuff, but this is really more related to my personal health. And so some of the things I've really learned well in the last few months is the incredible importance of protein, which I do not think I really understood that prior. The importance of healthy fats and fiber and good gut bacteria. So I knew some about all those things, but what's different now is I'm making a very sustained, committed effort towards making those things happen every day. So I definitely feel more physical energy. I feel like I'm sleeping better, I'm having more dreams, and I am waking up a little bit easier. I usually have a protein smoothie with unsweetened almond milk, protein powder, wild blueberries, chunks of frozen avocado to give myself the nutrients and the healthy fats that it needs. I put some ground up flax and hemp seeds in there. Again, good source of omega-3 fatty acids. Throughout the day, I am trying to snack on high quality, high protein, fresh foods and drink as much water as I possibly can. If I'm seeing patients, it's going to be a grab and go type schedule until dinner. And so I'm picking up little hummus and cucumber, chickpea salad, low-fat cheese stick, pieces of dark chocolate, almond butter on multi-grain bread. Just kind of make sure I have healthy options in my house and not junk that I can easily be drawn to. I have totally given up a couple different food things in the last few months, so nothing fried and no butter. I'm really trying to focus on olive and avocado oil, no processed sweets, so no cookies from a box, no junky sugary, desserty things that I have around my house, and I've cut way back on cheese. I think as a vegetarian, I relied on cheese much too much. Also, within my short breaks during the day, I am forcing myself to do something physical, like a quick walk around the driveway, 10 squats, leg lifts. This is definitely a work in progress for me. My usual MO is just work, and I am trying to value my physical body as much as I do my productivity. Then around this time, my kids come home from school, and again, part of your wellness is really staying connected to those values and what's important to you, and of course, they are tremendously important. So they really give me the opportunity to focus on mindfulness. So pushing everything aside, they are my focus. How can I be present as they tell me about their day? How can I be connected to them and make sure they are having a genuine audience with me and I'm not just kind of parroting back what I think they want me to hear? Then I'll usually go back to work for a couple hours, and then we have dinner. Do I always sit down and have dinner with my family? No. Do I wish we did that more than we did? Yes. They are teenagers, and they are doing a lot of homework, and they have shows, and they like their social media. And so that is a part of my wellness that I wish was better. Again, total transparency here. I also, during some times of the week, try to carve out time to dedicate to the coordination of my wellness. So things I can't do for myself, like scheduling dental cleanings, updating my prescription for my glasses, lab tests, physical therapy, massage. I have a couple repetitive stress injuries from all those years of doing computer stuff and academic work. It's very important to me that I don't think I can handle all my wellness needs myself. We need other professionals that have expertise to come in and to give us a helping hand. Dinner is almost always my biggest meal of the day, which again, probably not ideal, but just works out that way. I'm very lucky to have a husband who loves to cook. We eat plant-based and local as much as we can, try to get in as many vegetables, try to have beans as often as possible, to brain power health ingredients. For gut health, we've been trying to focus on eating more diverse plant foods. A few nights a week, I then am going to fitness classes. Classes are much better for me because you can't stop. You actually have to do the whole hour. So it just forces me to really try to extend my time of doing fitness. I love a class called Dance Fit. I've also been going to barre. I have recently found a gym local to me that is so inviting and so warm and so positive. It makes it much easier for me to go and to make that commitment every day. I then also might try to have another protein shake when I get home because my commitment is to try to gain some more muscle, lose some fat, change my lipid numbers. I'm not using a scale to monitor my progress. I'm using what they call non-scale victories. I know that I have a little bit of weight to lose, and for every 5 pounds that we lose, we actually significantly reduce the strain on our blood vessels and increase the circulation to our brain, which significantly enhances cognition and mood. So we know that when you track people over time and they lose weight, they report better memory, concentration, problem solving in as little as 3 months. Committing to exercise also gives me additional boost to my wellness in that it makes me feel proud that I have stuck to a self-care commitment that I have made to myself. So let's say I get through all of that and now it's the night and I'm ready to really think about more personal needs. What is it I want to do? I am learning to check in with myself and see what it is I need in that moment, as opposed to just having a routine thing that I do every single day. So I kind of think, do I want to rest? Do I need companionship? Do I want to laugh? Do I need joy? What is it that I need in this moment? Instead of just automatically doing something from more of kind of an unconscious, habitual place, I'm actually trusting myself enough to ask what it is I need in that moment. So it may be vegging out and watching a documentary, watching stand-up comedy, playing a game, lighting the fireplace. Whatever it is, I am honoring my interest in that time and not doing something just because my husband might want to do it or because I think I should be doing it. I'm trying to learn how to genuinely check in with myself and see what it is I need. Whatever I choose, I'm always trying to make time in the night to just work on a breath practice, which is just being cognizant of my breath and deep breathing. It's portable, it's reliable, it works. It helps me check in with myself and break that cycle of kind of, blindly going through the day. Not having everything planned and structured is also a part of wellness. That was important to me to say that. You have to be able to adjust and to be flexible. Doing the same thing day in and day out is just another level of monotony, even if it has the positive benefit of being something wellness related. I think the key is to do a lot of self-reflection and honor whatever it is that's coming up for us in that moment. And not every night is going to be a wellness night. There's some nights that maybe I am buying junk online that I don't need because it's kind of self-soothing. Maybe I'm grumpy because I'm struggling with something, hurt feelings or anxiety. Sometimes I'm crying. I got my own personal stuff going on. And so not every night is a wellness night. And when that happens, what I try to do is communicate with people in my life that I share intimacy with, that is trusting. And I will let them know, am I just venting because I need to articulate my feelings, or am I actually looking for you to help me with a plan to help move me into my next kind of emotional state? It's very important that we help people who are trying to help us have a little bit of a roadmap on how to know exactly what that is. About 4 to 5 nights of the week, I am doing my favorite wellness activity. Not what you might think, and that is getting in my jacuzzi. We bought this during the pandemic, and I have truly grown to believe and know that submerging ourselves in hot water is highly therapeutic for mind, body, and soul. Again, widens the blood vessels, which sends nutrient-rich oxygen throughout our body, including our brain. Warm water loosens muscles, helps reduce swelling and inflammation, takes weight off joints so you can stretch more in the water than you do in land. We also think that warm water and that deep level of relaxation also helps with our brain releasing nerve growth hormone or nerve growth factor, which is good for everybody's brain. So even if you just have a bathtub, please try to make some time to accept the healing power of warm water, hot water, okay? Then comes the wind down routine before I go to sleep. Again, I've been making improvements here, but I'm not perfect. What would be ideal is for me to get on here and tell you that I do no electronics for 2 hours before sleep. But the truth is, I love to listen to podcasts in bed before I go to sleep. Sometimes I'm very good and I listen to something that contains a meditation, maybe by Tara Brach, or a positive affirmation. These are the things that I'm always so grateful I did, and I always commit to wanting to do them more, but then I lose my motivation, and I feel like, in this moment, what I really want is just to laugh or be entertained. So I am often turning towards comedy podcast, something maybe educational, like Andrew Huberman's take on brain health, or something funny. I love Congratulations. I love Lifeline. I love Camp Counselors. These are people that I can count on to make me laugh and return me to kind of a lighthearted state before the time I go to sleep, and I try to release all of my stress. I try to be in bed by midnight, but it's typically more like 1. I do get 8 to 9 hours of sleep most nights. There's no set hours for sleep that's ideal for everyone. We're all a little bit different. It really relates to how efficient our brains are at breaking down something called adenosine, which is a byproduct of neuron production throughout the day. So some of us are very efficient, clearer outers, and some of us not so much. So one of the most important parts of sleep is continuous sleep. So I try to keep the bedroom like a sanctuary, no TV, no exercise equipment. I try to buy the best bedding I can. I often use a sleep mask or earplugs. Sometimes I'll take a CBD gummy to help me relax. We're just starting to understand the impact of CBD on the brain, but we do believe it has some neuroprotective effects that basically help our certain types of receptors in the brain keep brain inflammation lower. So that is something that's important to me. I have a couple autoimmune conditions, so I'm always thinking about inflammation as well. Sometimes wellness does include a cocktail for me. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel very comfortable with, people having anywhere from I think 0 to 3 to 5 drinks a week, regular sized drinks for most people is okay. Of course, if you have a personal or family history of addiction, that might not be a good choice for you. If it's the weekend, I try to do even more wellness stuff. I love to wake up after sleeping in, like some sage or some other kind of woodsy incense, and clean. An organized house makes me feel organized on the inside. Freshly washed sheets definitely makes me feel better. I try to get out in nature as much as I can. I love to go on trips. Really, what I think I love is actually the planning of trips. I read one research study that said 97% of respondents report that having a trip planned makes them happier. I have a wicked case of vacation anticipation, which once I read the book Stumbling into Happiness, I was validated that most of us actually derive more happiness from the planning or the anticipatory part of an activity than actually being in the event. So from that, I've learned that I really lean in to my joy of planning. Right now, we are planning a trip to Iceland, and I am really obsessing on the restaurants and the culture and all of the fun, awesome, interesting stuff we're going to get to do when we're there. These are the things that keep me going on my hard days. Having something to look forward to is really a part of my wellness. So what I want to know now that I've shared this all with you is, what do you do for your wellness, right? We want to think of wellness as multidimensional. So it's personal, it's social, it's intellectual, it's physical, it's financial, right? I want to know what it is you do. Where do you think that I could be making more improvements? What do you know about that I don't? I am very interested in incorporating as much wellness as I possibly can into my everyday schedule. I thank you guys so much for being here with me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.